Hello guys, Brad here again with another fragrance video. I was at work today and I came up with a pretty cool idea for a top 10 list. I'm going to call this one Top 10 Reasons Why We Buy So Many Fragrances. Now this is basically a follow-up to a video that I did a while back about fragrance addiction. Now this is something that I talked about and other reviewers have talked about, so it's acknowledged as being a big problem in the fragrance community, but this is kind of like a part B to that topic. In this video, I want to talk about what causes a fragrance addiction. What causes people to buy way too many fragrances? Now, depending on your finances and your situation, too many fragrances could be 10 fragrances, could be 100 fragrances, could be 1,000 fragrances. But in any case, if you're buying too many fragrances, I think there's at least 10 good reasons why this could be happening. So let's start with number 10, fragrance sales. Everybody loves a bargain, right? Sometimes you'll find a coupon code or fragrance sale, Blue Dot special or something. A Walmart or a website has a coupon code. Maybe somebody on Facebook is having a bundle sale of fragrances. So you end up buying a fragrance just because you can get a good deal on it. So that certainly can cause a lot of problems with your buying addiction if you just buy it because it's on sale. You can get it cheap or cheaper than you could usually find it. Number 9, too many occasions for fragrances. Now, it's interesting how if you follow Facebook or Base Notes or YouTube, you always hear different occasions for fragrances. Everybody has their top 10 for spring, for summer, for fall, for winter. We have evening out fragrances. We have clubbing fragrances. We have in between the sheets fragrances. We even have daring fragrances. I want a fragrance that makes me smell like a camel took a dump on my head. What are the best fragrances for that? For when I want to smell daring? Really, this is how weird we've become, where we want to find the best fecal smelling fragrances. Well, yeah, so many occasions. It doesn't boil down to just finding 2 or 3 really good smelling fragrances. You have to have all of your bases covered. So many bases that you need so many fragrances. So eliminate the occasions. You should eliminate a lot of the fragrances as well. Number 8, a reward for a job well done. Now, this can mean a promotion at work. Maybe you got a raise. Maybe you won the lottery. Maybe you got a big inheritance. Maybe you won a lawsuit. You come into a bunch of money, or you've done something that you feel proud of. You want to reward yourself, so you go out and buy fragrances to treat yourself, to a reward for whatever reason. And maybe you don't even need the fragrance, but you feel like, since you want to treat yourself right, you buy a fragrance even if you don't need it. So that's number 8. Number 7, the euphoric rush of buying a new fragrance. Anytime you buy a fragrance online, especially, I think there's this really euphoric feeling of waiting for that fragrance to arrive in the mail, counting down the days when you know that fragrance is going to show up in the mail, and unboxing it and getting that first whiff of it. But once you get that first whiff, boom, that euphoric rush is often gone, and now you're left with a bottle of fragrance that's just going to sit on your shelf and collect dust, unfortunately. So that's number 7. Number 6, the fear of reformulation or discontinuation. Remember back when Terry Mugler quit making pure malt and everybody started hoarding pure malt? How many bottles of pure malt does one person need in their lifetime? Are you afraid that when you're 800 years old, you're going to open up your medicine cabinet and you won't have any pure malt left? Come on, be reasonable here, people. One bottle is probably sufficient for your lifetime, especially if you're a fragrance lover and you rotate and everything. You don't need all these backup bottles and everything like that. Number 5, keeping up with the Joneses. If your favorite fragrance reviewer has 100 bottles and you have 20 bottles, you're going to go out there and buy 80 more bottles just so you'll be able to compete with him, unfortunately. Everybody's situation is different. You don't have to have as many bottles as the next guy. You don't probably need that many bottles anyway. Fact is, the guy that you're competing with probably got his bottles for free because he's a sponsored reviewer. So why spend $2,500 to have 50 fragrances when that guy got them for free just to give a favorable review? Number 4, got to fill that cologne cabinet up. In my experience, the more storage space you have, the more likelihood you are to buy fragrances. So if you buy like a large fragrance cabinet, if you buy a wine cooler, you just gave yourself more fragrance space and more excuse to buy more fragrances. Nobody wants a fragrance cabinet that can hold 500 fragrances and only has 10 or 20 fragrances, and it looks like it's unfilled. You don't need all these fragrances, but you gave yourself all that storage space. So psychologically, I think you feel like you need to fill that space up. Number three, the collector mentality. Now, this is the people out there that consider themselves collectors. Basically, what that means, you're a collector. So even if you don't wear the fragrance, you want to own that fragrance anyway, just to say you have it. I collect fragrances, so I keep buying more and more fragrances. I might not actually wear them, but I like to collect them so I can have them and show them off to my family and friends when they come by. And it gives me a good sense of self-worth knowing that I simply own the fragrance. So for someone that calls yourself a collector, you're basically saying, hey, I can buy as many fragrances as I want, and even then I won't be happy. I'll continue to buy more and more fragrances. Number two, glowing reviews from your favorite fragrance reviewers. Every time a new fragrance comes out, it's going to get all this favorable praise from sponsored reviewers, and you're going to feel like you have to own that fragrance too. So if you're like me and you subscribe to dozens of reviewers, all these fragrances are being reviewed by somebody out there somewhere. You're going to get caught up in the hype and buy the fragrances, even though you probably smelled something similar, you'll own something similar, or it's not nearly as good as they made it sound. And number one, got to have the newest and best selling fragrances. Every year, companies come out with new fragrances, new releases, and the essays out there, the magazine ads, commercials are going to promote these fragrances like they're the best new thing. You're going to feel like you need to own them too. So that's another thing. So all these 10 things and many more other reasons why I think people buy way too many fragrances. Just try to be disciplined. Try to avoid impulse purchasing. Maybe if you're thinking about hitting that buy button, wait a couple days and then think again, see how you still feel about it. Try to get a sample or decant if possible. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.